guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Huddersfield match preview. So Sunderland do welcome Huddersfield to the Stadium of Light on Wednesday evening, hopefully trying to get themselves back to winning ways after that really frustrating defeat against Plymouth last weekend. Now Huddersfield are currently in 21st place, not doing great whatsoever. In terms of their threats, I guess if you want to look at them, on the wings they do have quite a lot of pace. But in terms of results recently, they drew with Southampton last time out, which will lift them and give them a bit of confidence, you would think. It's a really good point there. But they haven't won the last 5 games. I think their last victory did come, it was towards the back end of October, pretty much a month ago, which was a win against QPR. But other than that, there's been the odd battering here and there. And they haven't looked particularly great this season. Really disappointing for them, given that, it weren't long ago when they were in the Premier League and they're really drifting at the minute, and we're going to be really going at it, you would imagine. In terms of the pre-match press conference, Mark Venus did take control of that because apparently Tony Mowbray is currently ill with a chest infection, but we are hopeful he will be in the dugout tomorrow night. We will see anyway. In terms of injury news, no real updates. We do have Chris Rigg returning from international duty, Burstow as well, who wasn't available at the weekend. Apparently just had a bit of a niggle, so we will see him returning. Whether that's going to be in the starting 11 or on the bench, that remains to be seen. But I will give you my as usual, I'll give you my preferred 11 for this game, and there will be a couple of changes which of course I will explain. So I'll get them up on screen now, and I do have Patterson in goal. Now I know this will never happen in a million years, but as you can see straight away, Sealt. I would bring in Sealt for Luke O'Nien. Now I have said loads of times, I know there's a lot of Luke O'Nien haters out there. I am not included within that bunch. I know exactly the value that Luke O'Nien brings. He isn't a bad player, or as bad as people make out. But the thing is, at the moment, he is going through a little bit of a sticky spell where he is getting caught out. Teams are figuring him out. And when he is figured out, he can become a bit of a liability and a hothead and get himself into a bit of bother. When as captain, that's what you're trying to keep away from. For me, I think what we need to do is shore up at the back and have the sort of typical 2 big brick shithouses at the back. Sealt, I would love to see partner alongside Big Dan Ballard. I think that would be a great partnership there. I'd love to see it. Sealt did come on during the last game, and he did play almost as a central midfield role, which was, I don't know whether that's something they're going to try and aim for him, and have him as a bit of a defensive midfielder. Not too sure, but I do think to get that height at the back, I know that Huddersfield, they do have a big lad, I'm sure 6'6" or something like that. I forget his name does escape me. But they do have some height in there, so I think that would help, particularly with set pieces and what have you. But Huggins at left back, Hume at right back, or vice versa with those two. Now in the middle, again, Ekwa has had a horrendous few games, or at least the last couple, bare minimum. He has been absolutely awful, and I just think with that kind of form, you might argue Roberts has been poor as well on the right-hand side. I'm starting. I just don't think there's anyone else ahead of him, and he is threatening. It's just his end product just isn't quite there at the minute. Whereas Ekwa, he's not really contributing anything. He's making mistakes. His positioning has been poor. His passing range has been terrible. It is just general tactical awareness has been all over the place. He's been soft in the challenge. I think he might just need a bit of a break, or at least a game or two off, to really just assess himself and think, right, okay, this is what I need to do now, and just try and pump himself back to where he was, because he was one of the first names on the team sheet for a while, wasn't he? He's come back from injury, and he's been less than half the player he was. So obviously I'm not slating him or writing him off completely, but I think in terms of form, he needs to come off the pitch for me. So in the middle I go for Dan Neil and Job. Dan Neil can, he can sort of sit and be that guard in midfield. Bellingham can be box to box as well. Well, the pair of them can do. Al-Sheesh for me, he needs to be starting because he's coming on the pitch and he's coming on too late. Or when he is coming on, he's just not given enough time to make the influence that I think he can do throughout a 90-minute game. So I think he deserves to start. He's looking really bright when he come on. Him and Mayenda, when they come on, the game looked totally different when we played Plymouth, and we thoroughly dominated that second half. So I think he needs to start. Clark on the left-hand side as usual. Roberts on the right. Mayenda, I would start ahead of Rusin. I just think he might be a bit early. He's only had a couple of cameo appearances, really. But he just looks infinitely more threatening than anyone else at the moment, does Mayenda. Seems to hold up the play really well. Doesn't seem off the pace in terms of strength and physicality. Absolutely not. And I just think he looks more threatening. Rusin, for me, he's good. He's charging the player down. He is making his runs in behind. But I feel like as soon as we go a goal down or things aren't quite going our way, it's almost like we just forget we have a striker on the pitch anyway. So someone who can just muscle the way into the game and force the way into the game like Mayenda, I think would be ideal for a game like this. So this is the lineup I would go with. I'm not expecting 09 to be dropped. I can't see it happening, but this is what I would go with. And of course, as usual, in the comments down below, let me know who you would go with against Huddersfield on Wednesday night at the Stadium of Light. But now for my score predictions. Last time I did predict a 2-1 win to Sunderland against Plymouth. That didn't happen. Plymouth got the win, of course. I do think we're going to get back to winning ways. I think it would be a disaster if we didn't. Not just because it's Huddersfield. I think against anyone at the moment. A lot of fans are slowly starting to turn now against Tony Mowbray. You know, I think if you look at the points total in comparison to last season, we're actually improving. But I think it's because now we're so... Our standards have raised. Of course they've raised. You know, we come up from League One, and I don't think anyone expects us to get into the top six, and we did. And we did it with a brilliant style of football, and now we're expecting improvement on season, which is only natural. You want that natural progression. And can Tony Mowbray be the man to take us there? That is the question. I'm not entirely convinced. I'd like to think he could. I don't mind Tony Mowbray at all. I think he works very well with the kids. It's him or the young players. He is the sort of glue there, I feel, and he has made an environment there for the younger players to thrive. And I think we might, or a lot of people might be underestimating how vital he is to that. I think throwing him away now and bringing him someone else, even if it is like a young up-and-coming manager, I don't know how that would fit. It might not suit. It might end up dismantling a lot of what we've built over the last season or two. But again, it's a results game, and if we keep throwing away points like we did against the likes of Plymouth and Swansea, that's just one to name a few, then we might need to look elsewhere. But also, he's digging out our strikers. You know, we said he's been slating Hamia for a lot, even though he's only played, 100 minutes, Hamia, and he's been saying that he's way off it, this, that, and the other. And he said that over the last few weeks, when he just hasn't really had the opportunity for me. Hamia, he said Rusyn, he's had loads of chances and he's missing them. I feel like it's kind of thing the fan would say, basically, which I get it. It basically is saying what's happening, but I feel like he's just throwing his players under the bus. I think he had words about Burstow as well. I'm just waiting for my ending now to make it 4 out of 4 strikers that he's slated. I know it's frustrating. It's very frustrating when you've got all the strikers and not one of them have put the ball in the back of the net. That's what they're there for. But as a manager, do you know what I mean? They're all kids, like I say as well. They're all kids. And apparently this is something that Blackburn fans did warn us about. When you get a bit frustrated, you'll start digging players out. And when you've got such a young squad, I don't know whether that's the way to go. But either way, in terms of score predictions, I think we'll do it. I think we'll have the home backing, Stadium Light, under the lights. I think we will come away with a resounding 3-0 win. I don't think strikers are going to score. I think Clark is going to get a couple, and I think Job is going to get himself a goal as well. So I still think it's going to be a strikerless or a goalless display for the strikers, but I do think we're going to get ourselves back to winning ways. And this is what keeps happening. We keep having these little dips, these little scary moments, and then we'll come back with an emphatic win. Because you need to remember, yes, it's frustrating we're not scoring, or we haven't scored 2 or 3 games, but we've made like 60, 70 odd chances without scoring, away from home anyway. So back on home soil, hopefully we can rectify that and get ourselves back to winning ways. But that is everything, guys. I won't take any more of your time. I do appreciate you watching. Of course, leave comments what you think and what you think about the lineups, score lines, etc. Let me know in the comments down below. But if you have enjoyed, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, take care and stay jammy.